well rested. It's time to morning up. I slept well last night. It's been. I tell you what's nice, and I guess it's worth talking about in context of today. It's just nice not thinking about alcohol at all. I just don't think about it. It's not something that I think about at all. And I guess it's been about 100 days since I've had any alcohol, and um, I don't think about it. And I share it only because it's worth mentioning that our our relationship to our lives really plays a role in how our lives play out. And I could have ignored the problem that I had with alcohol, which um, I guess I've done for a long time. So I could have ignored it, right? And that in and of itself is a problem. I could have tried to transcend the problem, which I also did, which was it's not that bad. It's I don't get sloppy drunk. I don't da 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 da. I'm above it, right? So I can transcend it. And both of those problems, both of those instances would have created a further a, would have created a furthering of the relationship that would have been unsustainable. And I mean, that's the whole one of the biggest things about the art of peace is stopping problems before they start. And so that piece right there is worth mentioning, especially in the context of today, which is um, the divine within neither ignores nor tries to transcend the human experience. So I'll read the stanza. This is stanza 108. Only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to go. 6. Man, so been at this for a while. Unite yourself with the cosmos, and the thought of transcendence will disappear. When he's saying unite yourself with the cosmos, he's saying unite yourself with what is. It's the language is the over and over again. I'll say this, and I just want you to understand that over and over again, the language is really the limitation. The this the experience, the what he's trying to say is actually quite mundane. But it's instead of saying the universe, um, unite yourself with the universe, all existed, all time, life. None of the language itself is really irrelevant. Um, and the thought of transcendence will disappear. So transcendence is essentially saying that the world as it is broken. I've got to transcend it. I've got to get to something else. Transcendence belongs in the profane world. Um, Alexa, what does profane mean?
As an adjective, profane is usually defined as characterized by irreverence or contempt for God or sacred principles or things, irreligious.
Alexa,
As a
stop.
verb, profane.
Where are we? Yeah, transcendence.
As an adjective,
Alexa,
profane
stop.
is usually
Transcendence belongs in the profane world. It's hubris, right? It's an attempt to. The only way you can transcend life is to imagine you're doing it, right? And that's straight up ego. That's the ego. That's the sense that you're bigger than. That's the sense that you have the kind of the power, that you've got it all figured out. It's mostly just a fool's errand. So transcendence belongs in the profane world. When all trace of transcendence vanishes, okay, the true person or the divine being is manifest. Okay. So the big problem with these transcendent or ignorant paths forward is that they require a lot of energy. And the reason why they require a lot of energy is because they're ego driven, they're self driven, um, they're small self-driven. They're arrogant. These attempts to transcend and to ignore, I think that they fall in the same place, are always doomed to fail. And strategically, they're just limited. And the part of the reason why they're strategically limited is because if you've got to go, you're going to have to work to transcend the way things are. Okay. You're also going to have to work to ignore the way things are. So while you're doing either or, you're not getting better at life itself. So you're practicing, it's the opposite of mindfulness. It's mindlessness. You could just as easily say, unite yourself with the cosmos and all mindlessness will disappear. I mean, that's right there. Mindlessness belongs in the profane world. It's not paying attention. And so the biggest problem is not that transcendence is wrong or that it's bad or that it can't do anything. Like, you can create some nice stuff in a nice imaginary kind of relationships. Same with ignorance. You can imagine a better world and get little pieces of it, but you will eventually come crashing back to reality. And when you do come crashing back to reality, what are you going to have to interact with that reality? You're not going to have any tools. And the reason why you're not going to have any tools is because you spent all your effort transcending or ignoring reality. So part of what being mindful is to get good at things as they are. And so empty yourself and let the divine function. So I'll tell the story and then we'll get to this training. So a big chunk of my life is an attempt to protect myself from betrayal and betrayal. So I have, I think, on four different occasions I have had people who I have felt close to and intimate in a friendly way, like just best friends, closeness, just a really good closeness with. And four different times I have, from my perspective, been betrayed by those friends and have been blamed for the betrayal. And I've been blindsided all four times. So, I mean, of course it has something to say about me, and I haven't quite figured it out yet. But being blindsided on all these separate occasions has just left me with this desire to protect myself, right? To make sure that kind of thing never happens again. But it still seems to happen. So anyway, in the most recent occurrence, it's happened, and what's going on is that I'm just experiencing all this inner kind of turmoil and agitation and conflict around what to do. And the thing about it is I have all the leverage. There's a professional element to this, and I have all the leverage. And so part of what I want to do is make the other person suffer the way I've suffered. And so yesterday was another piece to the way it's evolving, and I just wanted to win. I wanted to crush this person. I wanted to make this person suffer. I wanted to make this person realize the error of their ways. And, I just wanted to dominate. And I had opportunity to, and I still have opportunity to, but I'm not going to do it. And the reason why I'm not going to do it is because it doesn't feel good. The feeling of the way things are doesn't feel very good either, but it's just a feeling. It's not there's no danger, there's no threat. It's just a feeling. And a lot of it's based on my ego. And so, but anyway, what happened yesterday was I just had to kind of sit with what was going on. And by that, I don't mean sitting on a cushion meditating. I mean, as it's going on, there's all this disrupt and turmoil going on inside of me, emotional, intellectual. There's all this stuff going on. And I was empty towards it. Now, it doesn't mean I didn't feel that stuff. It just means that I didn't latch onto the story. So we talked about this in the early days with PTSD. Part of the problem with PTSD is not just the experience of it. It's the story that you attach to it. And the second you start attaching story to it, then the feeling itself becomes much more alive, becomes much bigger. And so the same thing happens here with this experience and with this relationship. It's full. It's so full. It's so full of sensation. It's full of memory. It's full of all kinds of stuff. And it could also be full of story and narrative about how I'm right, this person's wrong, and taking it into the future. Um, but instead, it's just sitting with it as it is. This is what this person wants. Granted, I have leverage. Granted, there's some risk, but let's just continue to move forward. I don't know how this is going to play out, but I do believe that it's playing out based off of how I participate with it. So I want the divinity in me, the goodness in me, the part of me that's bigger than the human experience. I want that part of me to be in the driver's seat. And what I understand divinity inside of me to be is the best version of myself, which is patience, which is compassion, which is gratitude, which is all these three things: patience, love, compassion, gratitude, meeting with the betrayal that's also inside of me and just holding it. So the best version of myself meets with all this hurt, past hurt, story, all this other kind of stuff, and just sits with it. Doesn't try to fix it, doesn't try to transcend it, doesn't try to stop it, doesn't try to do any of that stuff. It's just with it. And that's what he means when he says, let the divine function. Let the divine function. And there's an element of faith here, which is that love will triumph, and that patience and compassion and patience, compassion, and gratitude will ultimately win out. And yeah, maybe that's wishful thinking, but I just don't think it is. And the reason why I don't think it is based on the teachers and the spiritual leaders that have stood the test of time. So it feels difficult. And yesterday there were moments of absolute, like, this is unbearable. And even there were times with working with Allegra and Liliana where I was inside of me what this was, this turmoil, and I had to literally like go around it. Like here it is. I have to like go around it to stay present and engaged with Allegra and Liliana. And reading books even like last night, because it's been going on for a little while. Last night when we were reading the stories before bed, I was reading the story and I was feeling the story, wanting to go back and analyze and this issue. But you just let the divine function. And if you can get past the language of the divine, God, I don't talk about it. You get past the language of all that and get to the action of it. The action of it is love, compassion, patience, kindness, friendliness. I mean, that's what it is from a stable, solid place. And then you just let that play through it. And that's what I've been doing. And it's part of me. It's like there's the warrior inside of me that's just like, you should just dominate the situation. You have all the leverage, just dominate it. But that's not the way of the art of peace. It's just not. And Allegra said, and I'll finish up here. Allegra said, we were doing our prayers last night, and what are you thankful for? And I said I was thankful for not burning bridges and maintaining connection. And she asked me what that was all about and why. And I told her that, I try to never burn bridges because you just never know who you're going to connect to. And I said, one of my greatest fears is creating enemies, creating them. I mean, having enemies, I'm not worried about that, but creating them is one of my greatest fears. And so I told her that. And in my mind, to create an enemy is kind of ignorance. To imagine you're perfect is transcendence. Both are foolish. But to let the kind of divinity within do its thing, I'm down with that. So let's practice cultivating that. So that's what 1, 2, 3, 4 bells are for. The fourth bell is the attempt to tap into the best version of yourself. You start the day by tapping into the best version of yourself. Morning up. That's what I've been using that language. Morning up. It's time to morning up, people. If you got a morning up, tap into the best version of ourselves with a little bit of mindfulness. All right. Now again, this isn't beginners. This is your advanced meditative practice. So I'm going to be talking you through what I'm experiencing. Follow along if you like. But I encourage you to practice on your own. You can use me for a little bit of guidance, but this isn't for beginners. This is for the practitioners. First sensation that showed up was a little bit of indigestion, a little bit of gas. Lower right of the body. Contrast between the heat of the space heater and the coolness of the outside of my body away from the space heater is very pronounced today. My mouth feels very wet. Feel my lips a little bit chapped. Some holding in the core. Oh, that blessed quiet. Feels like my mind is like a searchlight. It's just quiet, searching. A little bit of water sound in the pipe somewhere. There's a song that popped in my head. There's the "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" song. Last time I thought of that is a while. Sensation of fabric of clothing, left arm. Let's go second bell. Noticing ground. First thing I notice when I go to ground is my left ankle. There's a little bit of throbbing there. Level 1 sensation. Level 10 being most pain, level 1 being just noticing it. So notice it and move it a little bit. Moving it showed up kind of some sweat in my socks from my walk. And when I moved around, it's cold. I feel the cold. Right leg feels great. Move up to pelvis. Pelvis feels solid, underneath, grounded. Core, back feels strong. Heart space, shoulder blades. Throat. Top of the head. Soften face and jaw. Add a little smile. Let's go third bell. Take a baseline. Let's max out. Let it go. Let's do 10 up, 10 down. 10 seconds inhale, 10 seconds exhale. I'm very grateful for my wife. Alina is such a wonderful, wonderful mother. She's a great wife. She's a great partner. I'm so grateful for how much work she's done to help make this holiday season very, very special. And just our children would not be so excited every morning about Christmas, and I wouldn't get to talk about the meaning of Christmas without all the just joy that Alina brings to the family. So I'm very grateful for that. And in turn, I'd like to offer just my thoughts and prayers and compassion and goodwill to those that are alone, those that are experiencing the holidays with sadness or anger or fear. I visualize dark corners, TV lights, sadness. And I visualize my heart opening up. I imagine invisible strings shooting out. I imagine those visible strings shooting out to all the places in my imagination in the world that have the loneliness. Just imagine the goodwill within me pushing out. I offer my joy and my peace as gifts to those that need them. And to finish, I'll take 2 breaths, finishing on the exhale. Tap into the best version of yourself. Start the day. Morning up. Armor down. Morning up. Huh. Pitch that to Katie. We're Thursday, right? We got one more stanza tomorrow. And then 5 left. It feels good to go down a list and accomplish it. Boom, 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 boom. Almost done 114 stanzas. Thank you for being a part of all this. Thank you for participating. Again, it's all the more meaningful to know that you all are watching some of this practice. So I'm eternally grateful. But I'll see you tomorrow and talk then. Later, Armor Down.